I believe that counseling doesn't stop just when you stop coming to see me. Counseling keeps going. In other words, I'm always there for you to pick up the phone, text me, call me, to ask me questions about your relationship or about your personal life. Not that I know the answers, but I'm going to direct you again, let you make the decision, and go from there.
Welcome to Rooted and Rising, where we focus on becoming whole through the mind, body, and spirit. My name is Lamisa, and my guest today is Mr. Nate and Miss Evelyn Thomas. They are marriage counselors. It is so great to have you both on today.
Thank you.
Thank
We're
you.
glad to be on.
Thank you for inviting us. Yes.
Was there a certain experience that led you to become marriage counselors? Miss Evelyn first, always Mr. Nate.
Definitely. Well, I should say there's a series of experiences, starting with our own marriage and our meeting, and as young people in college students, and got married and realized that marriage wasn't all butterflies and and Valentine's, after the fact. And through a series of events and things in our marriage, we realized that we needed discipleship and pass on what had happened for us to pass it on to others.
Yeah, I wish it was that neat, like Evelyn just explained it, but it wasn't. We were going through some difficulties. Our difficulties wasn't uh, um, necessarily with each other. It was just like Evelyn was in a part of the country she didn't necessarily like to be, wasn't interested in being in. She's away from her family that uh, she knew, and so we were having those type of problems. There was a situation where we decided, you know what, we need some help. We need to go back to church. Through college, we hit and miss church, things like that. So when we went back and listening to the sermons and the teaching, it just a light went on. It's like God gave us enlightenment, and the more they talked about relationships, the more I realized that my relationship was dysfunctional. It wasn't gonna give us the joy or the happiness that we needed unless we changed something. And so that's kind of how we got involved.
So, how has your understanding of relationship evolved over the years?
Well, over the years, like I said, when we got married, we were right out of college. We were college kids, and we had not experienced, life per se. When we were dating and when we met each other, we were in that carefree life, no worries, going to college, going to classes, and dating and going to the movies. Just a really what you would call a good life, best life. And then we graduated, and all of a sudden we graduated. And he's from Indiana, and I'm from here in Texas, and we looked at each other and say, "Okay, now we've graduated. Now what?" So we got to be adults now. So we said, okay, well, we know we're in love, so we're gonna get married. So then he didn't get a job here in Texas, so he ends up going back to Indiana, and I was still here in Texas. He came back during the Christmas holidays, and we got married, and then I had to go to Indiana. I had to leave Texas. After we got kind of settled and back there in that part of the country, I knew I was totally homesick. And it wasn't the butterflies and it wasn't love that we thought we had when we were kids in college dating. It was real life. And so we didn't know how to deal with that. We didn't know how to handle that. But God stepped in and led us to a church where we, finally got some discipleship and some teachings and things like that. So and it has evolved over the years, and God just put it on our hearts to as he healed our marriage and our relationship and opened our eyes to what a true marital relationship is about, then we developed this passion to pass that information on to others. If we could help, if there's a way that I can help another couple, another person, another, marriage, then that became a passion for us.
Yes, we use the word evolved, but really was a transformation, knowledge and understanding. We both are readers, and so as we got more and more into the Word of God, and we started reading marriage books, we started sitting under people who taught us and discipleshiped us. It just changed. First of all, it changed us. Let me talk about me. It changed me, and then I realized that it was about me more so than it was about Evelyn from the position I was looking from. And so that's been the transformation over the years and still transforms. It's amazing. Oh man, I can name off 20 books that I think every couple needs to read. But don't just read them, understand them and apply them. It's the thing that changes you, that changes your relationship.
You deserve a break, and we have the answer. It's the Feed Your Soul Wellness Retreat in Hot Springs, Arkansas, April 29th through May 3rd, 2026. We've designed this retreat for you to unplug, detox, reconnect, and restore the mind, body, and soul. With a guided excursions and designated free time, you will head back home rested, connected, and redirected, giving you the energy you need to make the best of 2026. Click the link below. We can't wait to retreat with you. So how many years have you been married?
We've been married 53 years. As of December 29th,
years.
2025. 53 years.
What are some common issues that married couples come to you for?
Basically, when they fill out the intake form, and the first thing that the majority of them have on there is communication. We want to learn how to communicate. Communication is a big component. And what we realize is that as we start teaching and counseling and talking to people, and you know what, I want to divert a little bit. We use the word counseling, but I use that word hesitantly because so many people are scared of the word counseling. They're afraid. When you say counseling, they want to run away. Oh, there's nothing wrong with me. Our marriage is great. It is not necessarily that I'm trying to get into your head, anything like that. It's just, and that's not what counseling is. So many people have the misconception of counseling. So I'd rather say teaching or discipling or mentoring or walking with you or just being your friend, just to impart some of the information and some of the things, some of the blessings that the Lord has given me. He's given me the ability to pass that on to you. So to go back to your question, that is the communication. People lack communication, proper communication. They don't know how to speak for yourself. So many people want to look at their spouse and say, well, I'm not happy or I'm not getting fulfillment because you did this, because you did that. And I can't blame everything that goes on there. If I'm not satisfied, I can't blame that on Nate because it's not his responsibility to make me happy, so to speak.
Yeah, they try to break it down into one thing. Like there's one thing that if they could just get that done, it'll solve all their problems. Communication is just what they see. There's a root cause down there that why they're not communicating with each other, and they're going through these and they want to deal a lot of times with the surface, the communication, when they need to go down and deal with the root, which will help the communication and them to understand communication, which they'll get better fruit on the vine than what they're getting. So that we kind of take them back and try to get them to define a lot of the things that they say are their problems. Like they say communication, we say define communication for us before we go any further. Define what you mean by communications. It's a lot. Sometimes it might be, well, she doesn't listen to me, that type of thing. And so we go back and we tell them just what good communication is. There's a talker and there's a listener, and those type of things.
So, what are some early warning signs that a relationship could benefit from mentoring, even when things don't seem that bad yet?
That's a good question, because that's another thing that I find that so many people say, "Oh, everything is just fine. We don't need this, or we don't need that." But when you find yourself in getting in your own little quarters or your own little corners of your mind and said, why did he do that? He's getting on my last nerve. I just can't stand it. I'm just so frustrated. When those things start happening, then it's time. Yes, your marriage may be still good on the surface, but then you find that the little things in the root are being picked at. And before you know it, if you're not careful, before you know it, they will explode. Those are some warning signs that maybe you need to stop and take a look at your relationship. And when you find yourself saying, well, this is just normal, he gets on my nerves, or all the time, I don't know why he does it this way or why he does that, then those are some warning signs that you could avoid it erupting into something bigger if you take care of it in the beginning.
Yeah, those warning signs. There's a lot of them, and the problem with self-talk is that that's not what a relationship is about. A relationship's not about self-talk. The little warning signs is if I'm having too many self-talks with myself and I can't have those thoughts with my partner, then there might be something wrong in our relationship. How we communicate with each other, what do we think about each other? There shouldn't be anything in a relationship that we can't talk about. No matter how sensitive or how emotional it is, we ought to be able to put it on the table and walk through it together. Because if it's emotional, then I ought to be able to walk with that person as they're experiencing their emotion, help them create an environment conducive for them to share their emotions and deal with their emotions. So those are those signs. A lot of those little signs we address in premarital class before you get married, and definitely after they're married. Those are signs. Why are you having all these self-talks with yourself? Have those thoughts with your spouse. And if you can't have those, then you need a third party. You need somebody that can help you to deal with or have some tools. Have some tools so you'll be able to communicate with each other. And in some of our workshops that we do, we try to give them tools from just small talk with each other all the way up to handling those number 10 issues with each other. We try to give them daily tools where they're constantly talking with each other.
And another thing to add to that is sometimes you don't recognize a sign. Sometimes you slowly drift apart without realizing it. And in our workshops, we do an exercise where you see how you can drift unintentionally, and before you know it, you look around and you say, "We have drifted apart." And it's a matter of lifing. You're going along with your life. Life can get in the way if you don't intentionally make sure that your relationship stays close and intact. And before you know it, you have drifted apart. I'm not going to give a lot of details, but in this drift exercise that we do at our workshop, we ask a question, have you missed having a meal with your spouse, in the last week or two? If you missed 2 or 3 meals with your spouse, sometimes it's necessary. You don't get a chance to have a meal together because so those are things, those are life events that happen that can cause you to just drift apart unintentionally, and we need to be aware of those things.
And the human tendency is to blame the other person or look and see what the other person has done to get them where they are instead of taking the blame for themselves. To me, that's what counseling is about. Counseling is about showing them some things and letting them make some decisions about those things. You could come here and I could give you 35 steps to a holy, harmonious, and a happy relationship. What does that do? I need to show you how to apply those things and let you apply those things, trip and fall sometimes, miss the mark sometimes, bring you back, realign you, and send you off again. I believe that counseling doesn't stop just when you stop coming to see me. Counseling keeps going. In other words, I'm always there for you to pick up the phone, text me, call me, to ask me questions about your relationship or about your personal life. Not that I know the answers, but I'm going to direct you again, let you make the decision, and go from there.
Very thorough, very thorough. What if wellness wasn't just about your body, but about your whole life feeling good? The 2026 Wellness Powered by You digital planner is designed to empower every part of you with weekly insight, questions that guide your inner growth, and reflection space to help you honor your journey. True wellness means a calm environment too. In your new 2026 planner, you'll find quarterly prompts for closet clean out, home deep cleans, and car maintenance checklists to keep your space as clear as your mind. This is Wellness Powered by You. Be organized, be intentional, and leave 2026 a different person than you entered. Get your 2026 planner now at the link below. How do you make couples feel they are being heard as a unit?
At the moment, encourage them to focus on themselves, to focus on who you are. And I encourage them individually first, because you have to know who you are and who you are in Christ, because that's our foundation. Don't so much point the finger at your spouse or at the other person, but be intentional about understanding who you are. And then you pray for the Lord to take care of the spouse. You cannot make your spouse do anything at all. We counsel as a couple, but sometimes we will separate, and Nate will go with the male, and I will stay with the female. But I always let them know that, hey, you are important. You first of all know who you are, and I mean this is Christian and non-Christian.
Now remember, we have an intake form that asks them some real personal questions. We also give them an assessment, a couple's assessment, and so we have that assessment to go over. So when we meet with them, it's important that once we hear them on the initial meeting, we hear why they came and what their situations are. It's important for us to tell them how we do counseling, the steps that we take, the direction that we want to go. There might be a time that we'll meet separately, and those are times when we believe that there's something sensitive, and we don't want to embarrass one in front of the other one. So we'll talk to them first about it, then we'll bring them back together to talk about it. We're always conscious not to try to say something that embarrasses someone, and that can get difficult sometimes when somebody has gone way off the end, or especially when one's trying to intimidate the other one, that type of thing. We got to bring them back, slow them down, calm them down, that type of thing, to show them that both of them are important, and there's guidelines, there's parameters, boundaries, right, that we want them to adhere to, not only this class, but we're trying to show them that should be a part of their relationship. There should always be those walls that someone can feel safe in, and those walls are just things like respect and goodness and kindness and things like that. That a person will eventually get to the point where they feel like they can bring up anything if that's the type of person that they're dealing with.
What's one practical communication technique you teach couples that tend to make an immediate difference?
Well, the
The number
technique
one.
that we use is called need to need. Sometimes it's called heart to heart, but it's where you sit in a position facing each other, looking each other in the eye, holding hands, and then you have a pattern that you follow where you learn who the listener is, you learn who the speaker is. When the speaker is speaking, the listener is not speaking. The listener is listening to understand, not to give a rebuttal, not to give a defense, but simply to understand. They might not agree. You don't have to agree,
Don't have to.
but always make sure that all you want to do is understand. And so that's a technique that we have found to be most effective. And
Yeah, and there's some rules, guidelines in using it, and we coach them when they first start out because we want them to get the procedures right. We want to teach the speaker how to give their information in shorter sentences because the listener has to repeat back to the speaker what they said or paraphrase back to the speaker what they said. The listener is looking for emotions, body language from the speaker as the speaker's talking. We believe that this slows down the communication process to give them time to talk through a situation. Studies have shown that something like 85% of all issues don't necessarily have to be solved. They just need to be talked through a lot of times, and they get solved that way by being understood. And it shows a respect for each other. And then after a while, you can say, hey, you might be riding along in the car and the issue comes up and say, hey, we need to do knee. And you know the procedures, so you just talk through it as you're driving down the highway. But the first part, we want you to understand it and learn how to do it right. Practice doesn't make perfect. A perfect practice makes perfect.
Is relationship restructuring?
Whether we're talking about reconciliation, which is restoring something back, when I'm restructuring, I've got to be careful to make sure the relationship was right in the first place before I try to restructure it back to that. So to me, restructuring it is, do you have the right foundation? Are you building on the right foundation? Where do you get your knowledge from? The principles that say this is who I am and this is the fruit that bears from who I am. And then am I the person to apply these principles the right way? But if I don't have that foundation, then I've got to go in there and build, not rebuild, but build before I bring the relationship back to where it's supposed to be.
Thank you for breaking that down and explaining that you have to have the correct foundation first in order to reconstruct it.
Continue to work on yourself to make yourself the best person you can be before you go into a relationship.
yeah, I agree.
That's very good.
Make sure that you're taking the very best into the relationship. You can't bring something into the relationship expecting the other person to give you what only God can give you. You know, that you don't go into a relationship expecting another person even to make you happy. That's not what it's about.
So tell
Amen.
me about your services.
We have a ministry called Your Family Matters that the Lord gave us back in the 90s. and we have the nonprofit and the whole bit. And it's counseling. We have counseling. We have educational structures for like people who want to get the GED, go further. We have career counseling, financial counseling, and that kind of information. We teach at our church, at the True Vision Church. We teach the premarital classes, and we call it premarital, but it's really marital relationship class, because married couples can come to that class as well, because the same principles apply for premarital as they do for married couples. The same principles of marital relationship. And we also are a part of San Antonio Marriage Initiative, where it's an organization, a Christian organization that brings churches together, not just couples, but churches together, and they promote, and we with various marriage activities, marital relationship activities, and education, bring that together. We also are part of Live the Life San Antonio, which is an organization that it's really a ministry where we have workshops, and we work along with other couples. We are a team of 4 core couples that work this ministry, where we have workshops, and we put on seminars and at various YMCAs and at various churches throughout the city of San Antonio. And we even have gone to San Francisco and Dallas and Austin, and so with this ministry. So those are some of the services that we do. And we have individual counseling. Like I said, I don't really like to use the word counseling, but that's what it do. We have where we couples can come to us individually, individual couples.
The subtitle under our Your Family Matters, our nonprofit ministry, is marriage and family. We deal with marriage, but we want to deal also with the whole family. One of the things that's we're working on is taking relationships down to high school and junior high school students, to teach them about relationships before they start coupling up and declaring their love for each other. We want to deal with them along those lines. So there's a gamut of services through those things. So when we deal with the family, it might be, we want to be a conduit in the family also. We have a family that's need food. We want to get them to a place that they can get food. Education, we want to give them. Financial help, we want to get them to places that can teach them about finances. And that. So we don't necessarily do it all, but we have people in our ministry that do that, from business owners to teachers to nurses to those type of things. Even teaching people how to get a trade, whether it's building trade or CDL license and things like that. So we want to be more than just marriage. We're marriage and family.
We want to thank you all for coming on today, and y'all have a great day.
Well, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Nice day too. Thank you for inviting us.